Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. It's another episode of the MMA Huddle here. Myself and John are here to break down UFC 238 from the United Center in the great city of Chicago, Illinois. It seems to be the yearly stop and a pay-per-view in June for the UFC that they head there, and they always put on good cards. Before we begin to start breaking down the fights, as always, like, comment, subscribe, hit that subscribe button up on your top right hand side, hit the bell beside it to be notified when our videos come online, and yeah, it just helps support the channel, and just more subs, it's going to be better for us, and more views, it's also going to be better. So yeah, before we get into that, I just got one thing to say. Just a massive congratulations to Jack Shore. Got finally signed to the UFC. I actually didn't think he was going to get signed to the UFC right now. I thought he'd maybe take another fight and maybe see him maybe early 2020, but it looks like Jack's been signed up to the UFC, or he has been signed up, and really looking forward. Me and John know Jack pretty well. John knows him better than I do. He's interviewed him I don't know how many times.
Yeah, quite a
few. Yeah, just a load of times. And he probably interviewed his dad as well. And
yeah, I interviewed a pair of them up in Glasgow. Yeah.
Because I remember, I think we seen them in Belfast, and then obviously they're in Glasgow, and we got talking to Jack there, and he was just kind of coming into deciding kind of what division he was really going to stick around in Cage Warriors, and he's just dominated. He's dominated since then. He's going to come into the UFC. It's interesting to see how he's going to cope with the step up in opponents, the caliber of opponents, because he's had, to be fair, he's had really good opponents on the local scene over here in the UK. He's beat the best guys who've been put in front of him, and looked dominant in doing so as well. So just a massive congratulations. I'm sure you can share the sentiment of that as well, John.
Yeah, and another thing, Jack Marshall, when I was chatting to him a little while back, they were saying that he trained up in Jackson Winks probably about 2 years ago, something like that now, and he was saying that Jack wasn't sure if he was up to the level, and he was saying he was sparring with likes of John Dodson, all them boys, or top level 135ers, 145ers, and Jack was hanging with them, punch for punch, kick for kick. He didn't have any problems with them, he said, and he said that was the turning point for Jack to have that confidence. Go, I'm good enough to hang with these guys at the top level, and it just shone in the fights, as we all saw. So I reckon UFC Copenhagen might be probably a debut spot for him. To be honest with you, probably good idea, good time, good length to get him prepped for that, and good avid kind of build up the hype for it as well.
Yeah, what you're going to get is you're going to get a lot of Welsh fans that are going to travel with Jack Shore. Just wait until you see that. That guy's got a loyal following, so he has, and you're going to be seeing a lot of Welsh guys flying about. Welsh, to be fair, all the Welsh kind of travel well. Brett Jones, some of the other guys as well. Wherever they are, they always travel.
Phillips, yeah,
super well. So, like I say, looking forward to that. I mean, Denmark got announced for Copenhagen. Me and John are kind of championing at the bit to get back to our cards, so we're kind of hoping that it was going to be one in British soil and maybe Irish soil, but it looks like that they're going back and they're sticking in Scandinavia. Obviously they've got a new country to move into. They're always looking to move into new pastures and cultivate the talent and just get more fans on board. So looking forward to seeing them get in there. So it's maybe something we're going to look at a little bit, and we'll see what we're going to do. And because we're just talking beforehand, it probably looks like it'd be very surprised if Jack Hermansson is not the main event of that card against that high level middleweight. So, and if Jack Shore's on there and a couple other guys, it might just kind of tempt us to maybe move over to lovely Copenhagen and go and watch a fight card. So yeah. So we're gonna get into this card, UFC 238. When I look at this card, I don't see one fight I'm really not. Last week there was a couple of fights I had no real interest in watching. To be honest, if we're just being brutal, and I'm not sugarcoating it, there were some fights I still haven't watched, and I'm not going to watch until I absolutely have to. But this one here, there's name value throughout the card. There's fights that kind of mean something. There's fights that mean something to the rankings as well. And then you've got two title fights, and you've maybe got a title eliminator in the third big fight on the card, to be honest with you. So yeah, this is a solid card. They've did well. They've stacked the deck. And I'm looking forward to talking about it. And we're going to start off this fight. We don't know where it's going to be, but it's the first bout I see. So we're going to just stick with being the first fight of the night. So it's Eddie Wineland against Gregory Popov and John.
Oh, mate, I'm looking forward to this fight. Really simple because Popov is ridiculously high level guy in striking to watch. If anyone has ever heard, if they haven't heard of this guy, sorry, he's Muay Thai specialist. That was his thing, bread and butter. Absolute murking people in Muay Thai. His leg kicks are absolutely horrendous. Oh gosh, I would probably be walking funny for a week if I took one kick from him. Honestly, it's beautiful technique, beautiful power, elbows from close. And he actually just combines his, strikes so well together. He finished the fight with leg kicks, but it wasn't like his standard leg kicks. The guy was on his back and he just leg kicked his calf so bad the guy tapped out. It was hilarious, to be fair. The other guy should have done a bit more to get out of that situation. It's his own doing, but he's got shins of steel, let's say, and he's going against an experienced guy in Eddie. Eddie's not new to the show. He knows what he's getting into. Me though, I see Eddie slowing down past couple of fights. I see, I've always enjoyed watching Eddie fight because he is so gangster. He doesn't do tape on his hands. He just puts the gloves on, straight in, hands low. And what worked for him was he had his hands low because he was great at bringing those shots up from the hip, but the footwork and the head movement were there to go with that. I don't see it as much these days. I see a slight decline in the speed. He's going to have to be careful because I think Popov can hit those leg kicks on Eddie as Eddie's bouncing in and out, and they can land heavy. And he's trained at Tiger Muay Thai as well, Popov. So that's an incredible camp. For me, Eddie's just, he's getting hit because he's not as quick as he was with the head movement getting out of the way as such. And I just feel that Eddie could maybe try and wrestle this fight to win, but it's not the way Eddie fights. Eddie likes to stand. I'm going to go Popov, mate. I know Popov's like 32, 33, but the dude's an absolute savage. I'll give Eddie the benefit of doubt and say decision, but I'm going Popov here, mate.
Yeah, Popov's one of the guys that I kind of knew of beforehand for the simple fact he's good in the mind. Danny Rube's one of his boys for. He's the manager for him, so I always keep an eye on Danny's guys and see they're coming through. They've got a serious amount of talent signed from Tiger Muay Thai, and this is another guy. It's kind of interesting here that Popov's actually older than Eddie Wineland.
Yeah,
that's weird.
And Eddie's been fighting since like 2008.
Yeah, he's not really been fighting in MMA for all that long. I think it's like 6-7 years. So the MMA mileage thing, it won't really affect him here. Like I say, he's more of a kind of sniper striker, I think. He's got a lot of speed when he wants to strike, but he doesn't really strike all that much. He doesn't throw with a lot of kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? He just doesn't throw in bunches enough. He kind of picks his shots really well. He's very choosy with his striking, but he does have some very, very, very high caliber strikes with his low kicks and his fighting at distance. And the kind of one thing that I think might hurt him here is the fact that he just doesn't throw enough. I think he has to throw more because Wineland will look like he's doing more on the judges' cards, in my opinion. Seen him, guys. I've also seen him being put on his back, and he's a little bit of a fish out of water in there. Won a couple of fights by Gogo Platas as well, which is pretty damn rare. No matter what whereabouts you are fighting, that's still pretty rare to have a couple of those submission wins. I'm going to pick Wineland. I think that his output's going to be more. I think if he gets hit with some big strikes, that could maybe obviously sway the judges. But I just think that he's. I struggle to see him outpointing Eddie Wineland. And I think Eddie's just a wee bit more faster, more technical, and hits to say the least. So I'm going to go Eddie Wineland. Just don't get caught. If he doesn't get caught, I think he wins this fight. For me, so I'll pick Eddie Wineland via decision. Weird fight placement on this card, in my opinion. We've got women's flyweight division, Caitlin Chukagian against Joanne Calderwood. Jojo 2.0, Bad Mofo Jojo, all her aliases that she's been called over the years. But she looks like she's in the best sport of her career. I think it's pretty clear in the eye that she's at a camp that looks good on her. She looked super happy. She looks like she's making progressions with her game. She's got a coach there who obviously takes a lot of time now, which is she's kind of sleeping with the guy, so that they're seeing each other all the time, and I'm sure they're talking about a lot of things. So she's obviously in the right space. She's got herself well and truly away from Scotland, all the distractions, taking herself over to Las Vegas, where she's got the PI right on her doorstep. She's obviously got a gym that she works on. She's got great training partners with Roxanne Modafferi, who's obviously getting better with age, and Sarah Kaufman's coming in. So she's got actual female sparring partners who are good sparring partners, and she's going to get better by fighting with these people. I mean, it's shown her last two fights. I didn't think she was going to be Ariane Lipski. I thought Lipski was going to be too much, but it kind of shows that it means a lot to have kind of UFC experience, because Lipski came in there and looked a kind of shell of herself, but that was down to Jojo, and she mixed that up really well. She got takedowns, she kept her down there. Kalindra Faria, she submitted off her back. But when I look at that, I'm thinking, like, Kalindra Faria and Ariane Lipski. Lipski, I do think, will come good. She's still super young in the sport. Two girls that are not, like, when you look at getting a title shot, you're like, she beat Kalindra Faria and Ariane Lipski and maybe Caitlin Chookagian to get a title shot. I'm just like, but you've got to beat who's put in front of you. That's other thing. So, and she's looked decent in her two fights. But to be fair, I don't think she looked that good against Faria. She just caught a submission off her back. She was losing that round until she caught it at the end of the round. But she looks confident. She looks different, in my opinion. We've seen enough of Jojo over here in Europe to know that she's very much, I think, mentally, if she's not on, she'll get smoked. And we've seen that in the past. Mentally, if she's on, she looks a totally different fighter. And she looks like she's just got everything at her disposal over there in Vegas. Looking at the style matchup here, Chookagian is just a tough fighter to look good against. You don't really come out looking good against Caitlin Chookagian. She fights close fights. She's not going to stop you. Striking wise, Jojo I think is better. I think that Caitlin's going to obviously want to hit and move and just not get hit. And you know that Jojo's going to come straight for her and try and beat her up in the feet. If it goes to the ground, then Jojo, I think, has to be very careful, because she's a Ricardo Almeida jiu-jitsu practitioner, and he's very good. She's fairly decent down in there, but she's gonna look to win this fight via decision. It's on Jojo to bring the fight here and make it her fight. I'm kind of struggling with this. I can see this being a close decision fight, and majority of times that Caitlin Chookagian kind of wins those fights. I think I'm going to go Caitlin Chookagian, actually. I think she's going to win a split decision. I think it's going to be one of those fights where Jojo actually, she'll be pissed at when she looks back that she could have won this fight. I've got Chookagian via split decision. I think it's going to be super close. But I can also see if Jojo really gets aggressive early and lands some strikes, could really put Chookagian off. And she's not going to, if she's down around, I kind of struggle to see her winning the fight, because Jojo will be coming out and she will be landing more than what Chookagian is. So I'm interested to see. I feel I kind of went with Stevie Ray last week, and maybe that was the tartan glasses with me, kind of looking at that fight, and I don't want to make that same mistake again. So I'm going to go Chookagian via a split.
And hopefully it's like reverse psychology and Jojo wins. I like that.
100%.
Yeah, Caitlin's. You know what? I don't see much of a following for Caitlin Chookagian, because she's just, she's not enjoyable to watch. Let's be honest. Like, if she ever won a title, I'd be devastated, because that would just be a sin for that division. Jojo, the way to beat Caitlin is to add a left hook on the end of combinations, because Caitlin likes to come in with a striking. When she likes to come in and strike, and she circles off to her right. And that takes her away from the opponent's danger. If Jojo could, I'm sure coaches have looked at stuff, having a left hook on the end of your combinations when you're fighting Caitlin would really make a big difference, because it'll really start to hit her in the tracks. And also leg kicks as well. I think if you could throw the inside leg kicks, outside leg kicks from the Jojo can offer, I think that could slow Caitlin down as well, because that's what she relies on, is movement. She comes in, she throws something, not always landing, as we know. Her accuracy's pretty low. She takes like her. She lands 4 a minute and she takes 4 a minute. I think it's something like she literally takes one to get hit by one. The statistics are something crazy. Jojo looks so different, doesn't she, mate? It's like you said there. It's crazy the difference it makes for her mindset. I wouldn't be surprised if Jojo goes for a takedown. I legit would not be shocked. I'm gonna go Jojo split decision now because Caitlin makes a round ugly. In the first round, it's gonna be ugly, so don't know how I'm gonna score it. But I think Jojo can maybe start getting a sneaky takedown to then get it in Caitlin's head and make Caitlin start to think about the takedown just as much as the striking. Because Joanne showed it, she's got the confidence, like you say, training with, for example, Roxanne's not the best striker in the world, but Roxanne's a ninja on the ground. She's got legit grappling skills, and obviously she's learning from those folks. And yeah, I'm gonna go Jojo myself, split decision, but it's only because Caitlin just makes fights ugly, and no one enjoys watching her fight. If I'm honest with you, if I can avoid watching her fight, I will. I'd only watch it because Jojo's in there, so I want Jojo split, mate.
So moving on, middleweight division, Bevon Lewis against the dentist, Darren Stewart from over here in the British Isles, heading back over to America, got himself another good fight here. How do you see it going?
Oh, I like this fight. Darren, top bloke Darren, as you and I know. We met him. Lovely guy. Chat to him on WhatsApp and stuff. And he's got a tough opponent, Bevon. Let's be honest. Yeah. Bevon, I'm going to be honest though, it's a bit of a step up like Bevon's debut. Dana White Contender Series, like we saw before, somehow they just throw them up against the recognised names in Uriah Hall. And to be fair, Bevon looked pretty good for the first round-ish. And then obviously a gas tank and then experience with Uriah Hall came in and just really took Bevon apart. I'm like, Darren lost the last fight in a decision, but he didn't look awful. Let's be honest, he looked all right. Obviously, Darren's aspect is wrestling. As long as you can, Darren can learn to get that defense on the wrestling. He's all right on the feet. He's good on the feet. He's a lot more patient. I think Bevon, won't come out like he did against Uriah Hall, all guns blazing, because he knows if he goes past the first round, he's then got to handle that gas tank for a second and third round, and he doesn't have the gas tank, obviously, clearly, to hold that kind of pace up for 3 rounds. I think you might see a patient Bevon. But again, if Darren's patient, Darren uses jab, like Uriah Hall did, just use that jab to keep him on the end. Because Darren can crack and Bevon can both crack, man. It's a hard one. This is a hard one for me. I'm really stuck. I'm torn. Because Bevon throws heavy, he hits hard, he's got good combinations, and he's fast. But Darren, we've seen Darren, he can throw elbows, he can throw hooks, and he just wobbles people. I'm torn on it, so I'm gonna go homeboy Darren. But it's not one I'm honestly, Bevon's so live. I would not be surprised either one of them could stop each other in this fight. I'll go down, but I'm not super confident on the pick, if I'm honest, folks. I'm like 51-49.
Yeah, the betting line's kind of off in this one as well. I don't know, I actually had a look earlier on, but Darren's a big underdog, very big underdog, if I remember right. I think I've seen him, it's like plus 200, plus 195. So he's a big underdog to Bevon Lewis. And I don't know whether he should really be that high an underdog against a guy who's still fairly new to the UFC.
He's not winning the UFC.
Yeah, he's not winning the UFC. So, yeah, it's an interesting kind of fight to look at betting wise. For me, I'm going with Bevon Lewis just a little bit. I think he can mix up a little bit more. I think he's got more. He's got a kind of longer game that he can fight. I think Darren sometimes lets himself go a little bit too much and gets too aggressive to where he can be countered, and that's kind of where I think Bevon Lewis is going to get him. But I do think Darren Stewart's actually pretty live in this fight. I think that the betting lines shouldn't be as bad as what they are, shouldn't be as far as what they are. But when I look at Bevon Lewis, I just think he's got a little bit more to him. Again, that's saying something because we haven't really seen all that much of Bevon Lewis, but I know he's been moving around different camps, just learning bits here and there with his brother, I believe. I think Dan Levy actually mentioned that to me. He was out at his gym and they were doing some work out there. So, yeah, it's not really got a great read on, if I'm being honest with you. I'm going to pick Bevon Lewis. I would obviously like Darren to win, but he could make it close. I like Bevon to win via decision. So, yeah, I'll go Bevon Lewis in that one there. Women's strawweight division, Yang Xiaonan against Angela Hill. I like Yang Xiaonan. Yang Xiaonan. Can I say it? Yang Xiaonan. There we go. Slow myself down. Yang Xiaonan. I like Xiaonan a lot in this fight. I really do. I think that this was supposed to be Felice Herrig. I liked her against Felice Herrig. I thought that I really like what I'm seeing from Xiaonan, and I've beaten her a few times before. I think people are really starting to kind of corn on that she's actually a really decent fighter in the UFC. Obviously, she came in against Karolina Curran, pretty low level. Viviana Pereira, kind of step up from Karolina Curran. She's like dominant in kind of all the facets of our game, pretty much in those fights, and just like high output, especially against Kondo. She came in there, just really outstruck her. Very, very high strike rate. She took a lot of strikes, to be fair, but she was open because she had so much output. And you know this fight's going to be a striking affair. Angela Hill's not going to come in here and take her down. She is a striker by trade. So this is going to be one of these fights. I think there's going to be a lot of strikes thrown, but I just think the more definitive strikes are going to be thrown from Yang Xiaonan. Angela Hill's coming off a pretty unanimous win over Jodie Esquibel. I want to say 6 weeks ago, where she just completely was the better striker, was quicker, more varied in her strikes, and I think the way to kind of beat Angela Hill pretty convincingly is get takedowns. You can get takedowns. I don't think Xiaonan's going to go for takedowns. I'd be kind of surprised if that was her game plan, because I think she can outstrike and land the bigger, better strikes on Angela Hill. So yeah, I'm confident enough in Yang Xiaonan that I've got on a bet and a parlay with another guy later on in the card, which we'll talk about at the end. But I've got Yang Xiaonan to kind of just outstrike, out volume, just have far too much for Angela Hill. So I've got Xiaonan via another decision. I'm starting off with decisions here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going with Yanas. That's what she's called, by the way, Yanas. Yeah, I just think the output is she's gonna be first to the punch. She's gonna be coming forward and aggressive, and Angela's gonna obviously be counter striking it. But Angela won't be landing enough counter strikes to kind of compensate for the amount that Yana's going to throw. I'm with you 100%, Will. I just don't see how it almost be like Jessica Andrade, where it was just too much thrown at Angela to kind of be able to come back and get a win on. Don't get me wrong, kudos to Angela just going to get back in there again and want to fight. But I just think it's not bad. I don't even think Angela could even strike and move. You know, that's what you want to do in this fight. You don't want to be sticking around, but she's so aggressive, Yana. She just comes forward. It's hard to get away from. You can't be running back foot for 15 minutes. So, mate, there's not much to say other than it's going to be a domination of high output, a lot of strikes landed, and just dominates the win.
Yeah. Moving on, prelim time. Ricardo Lamas against Calvin Kattar. Really good fight to start the prelims. Who you got here?
Right. Huge fight. Because Ricardo Lamas surprised me against Darren Elkins in the way he fought. You know, I was a big marker for me because I thought, where is Ricardo now? Is he still going to be able to throw down at that level? Is he still good enough? Because he's 37, he's featherweight. You know, it's not young. He's no spring chicken. But man, he's fighting a kid in Calvin Kattar who did well against Chris Fishgold. But Fishgold and Lamas are different. Two different animals. Mate, I'm gonna go with Lamas. I'm actually gonna go with Lamas here. He's just so experienced, so well vast, so knowledgeable, and he doesn't lose that often. You know, as much as the only reason I question about whether he was still good is because he, like I say, he loses to some big names, but he's just a savage. He's so good with his strikes. He's so good at getting in close. Someone like Calvin, he can get in tight to Calvin to get strikes landed, and also the grappling aspect. I think he's a stronger takedown than say Fishgold. And obviously, Kattar lost to Moicano in the decision, which was a good marker for him. Do you know? Because we've spoke about Moicano before, he's an absolute monster himself. So it was a good one, And I think that Lamas is another big name for him to try and test himself. But there's just something about Lamas where he's got, not just as he's got submissions, he's got TKOs. His ground and pound is lethal. He's got beautiful elbows from the top. I know he lost to Josh Emmett, which Josh Emmett was a bit of a powerhouse, just landed that strike. He lost that decision against Betchik, but I honestly think Lamas, I think he can do it in this fight. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but well, I do know why. I think he could just outwit Calvin Kattar here. So I'm going to go with Lamas decision, just using their knowledge more than anything else.
Yeah, a good fight. I'm looking forward to seeing Calvin Kattar, kind of moving on and getting a better kind of not Fishy's not a better opponent, but it's just that Lamas is a seasoned vet.
Yeah,
he's fought the best, and he's still sticking around. He's been around, like I say, he's fought the best guys. So making that move up to a named guy in Lamas, who's fought for a title, who's fought the best in the division, is only going to help him here, and it's going to hopefully keep him in the kind of straight and narrow for this fight here, because I think this is, like I said, a big fight for him. He beats someone like Lamas. He really established himself in that top 10 of that division. But Lamas is no easy out for anybody at all. But ever since I seen Calvin Kattar in his debut, I picked Feely against him in his debut, and the differences from his regional fights to his UFC fights are night and day. You've seen that when he got that better caliber opponent, he is upped his game tenfold. Beautiful striking, great feints, great footwork, power in both hands, can mix in takedowns, and that's what I like. I like to see progression like that in a fighter like Calvin Kattar. I like to say that fight with Fishgold was weird, because he came off a massive fight against Moicano, who, and seeing that thing about it now, I was talking about it's a kind of jump up to face Lamas, but I forgot that he fought Moicano. Mike was one of the better guys in that division as well. He got completely outclassed in that fight. But kind of got, I don't want to say it was a layup fight against Fishgold, but Fishgold's coming into the UFC, kind of blew his load inside the first 2 minutes and took some heavy strikes and got knocked out for it. Lamas, you can definitely tell he's at the tail end of his career, but he's still super dangerous. And he showed that against Elkins, who's as hard-nosed as they come and is very tough. I actually think that Calvin Kattar's going to knock Ricardo Lamas out. I think he's going to catch him with a beautifully timed counter, and he's going to knock him out stiff. I know we've seen Josh Emmett knockout. Josh Emmett does that to people. You give him an opportunity to get at you, they'll get at you, and he will get you. He's got massive power. So I'm kind of in the same kind of thinking that Calvin Kattar can catch him with a big shot here. It's going to be, because I don't think he should stand and strike with him. I think that his chin's going to come into play if he does that. So I expect him to engage a little bit to hopefully get into a position where he can clinch up and try and get the fight to the mat there. But I can see Kattar getting back up. I think he's got a good get-up game. And I just definitely think he's the better striker in this fight. I think he's going to knock him out. So I'm going to second round TKO for Calvin Kattar in that one there. Moving on, Karolina Kowalkiewicz against Alexa Grasso. I'm going with Alexa Grasso here. I don't think she's been super impressive in her UFC tenure.
Nope.
And I think that, she had Tatiana Suarez last time out. She's kind of been mixing wins and losses since she went to the UFC, and she's obviously been fighting kind of the lower kind of tier girls like your Heather Joe Clark and Felice. That time was kind of losing more fights on the up actually after that for a little bit. Beat Brandon Marcos, which was kind of super close. Could have maybe lost that in some people's eyes due to takedowns and position on the mats, but Suarez is next in line for that belt pretty much. But that'll be whether she wins this fight against Ansaroff or whatever. But Karolina Kowalkiewicz to me looks a step slower. I think she's kind of hit her peak when she She faced Joanna. Since then, I've not really been impressed with what I've seen. Even her wins over Escobar and Herrig, I wasn't super impressed. I know she had a lot of output in those fights, and that's how she wins fights. But now she's kind of got a pure striker. I'd be surprised if Grasso wants to get takedowns in this one here. So it's the pure boxing of Grasso against the kind of the good Muay Thai counter striking, clinch striking of Karolina Kowalkiewicz. So I think that Karolina can throw more output, but I think Alexa can land bigger shots here. And I know she was knocked out bad by Jessica. That fight with Michelle was kind of really all it kind of came down. It was takedowns, and
yeah.
Michelle got the timely takedowns in that one there. So, like I said, I think it's going to be a close fight. I feel more confident edging Alexa Grasso in this spot. I think this is going to be a coming out party against someone with a bit of name value in Karolina Kowalkiewicz. I heard a couple of weeks ago there was like, people were saying Karolina was like retired. I'm like, she's got a fight, dude. I don't know what the hell you're going on about. So, but I definitely think she's on that kind of wave where she maybe by the end of this year, maybe next year, we might not see her in the UFC. She might retire. She might not. She might actually fight on. But yeah, I'm kind of being pushed to Alexa Grasso in this one here. So I'm going to go Grasso to win a close decision. But like I said, it's going to be close, I think, if it does go to decision. So could go either way. But I like Alexa there.
Yeah, like I said to you before, mate, when we were off air, I said it's an awkward one to call this fight card. There's some fights that are really tough to call. And I think I'm going to pick wrong on all these fights, almost all, because I just think it's so tough between some of them are flip of the coin fights, and I think this is another one for them. I think it's a decision fight, and again, I think I'm going to go with Karolina purely on what you said before as well. Will was my kind of main point was that her output she does throw quite a bit out there, and on the judges' scorecard, similar to Caitlin down below, judges think it's sometimes landing, when sometimes maybe it's not. So the output can look more, especially even if it's not landing heavy, it's landing. Some judges see it, some judges score it that way. Especially when you consider that Randa Marcos was landing on Alexa Grasso quite well. I thought, well, if she's landing, Karolina is definitely going to be landing. How can you not? How can she not if Randa can land on her? I agree, Will. I think she is kind of hitting that. She's maybe hit it. I don't know if it's like she's on a decline or she's just at a point where she's got a bit stale and she maybe just needs to do something to jig things up a bit, maybe have a bit of a longer break and reinvent herself in a way to maybe just come back with a different kind of mindset or something. But like you say, Will, this one's a big one for her, I think. Big one to see where she is. I'm going to go decision Karolina just because of the output, mate. I don't even think she's going to land the heavier shots. I think she might be slightly more marked up than Alexa, but I just think the volume she'll get the win because of the volume factor.
Interesting. Talking interesting fights. Big fight here for the stakes in the bantamweight division. Obviously, we've got the title decided at the top of the bill, but this one here could be next in line for whoever wins this fight here. So we've got the Funkmaster, Aljamain Sterling against the young Punisher, I think he is, called Pedro Munhoz. How do you see it going?
Both of them are looking good at the moment. Both of them performing well. But I'm going Munhoz. I'm going to say it straight away. Pedro Munhoz is my man. I'm going to pick. On the ground, I don't. Aljamain, don't get me wrong, wrestling is king, and I sometimes should always go with the wrestling is king factor, because wrestling wins a lot of the time. But Pedro Munhoz is a ninja. He is a ninja. So Aljamain's going to be super careful on the takedowns. Pedro Munhoz goes for all sorts of submissions. He'll go for a leg lock and all. Look at it, Cody fight, jumping in for that leg lock. Just crazy stuff, like catching a kick and end up going for a leg lock. And Pedro Munhoz hits hard, but he does those kicks to the calf, man. Like people don't really notice it enough, and those calf kicks are devastating in fights. And if you're a wrestler like Aljamain, big factor is having that explosive forward movement, and you need that with your lead leg, and he's going to lose that because of Pedro Munhoz. Munhoz will start kicking that straight off the cuff, won't care. Because Pedro won't mind it going to the mat because he believes in his jiu-jitsu is strong enough to be able to fend off what Aljamain would be able to do on the ground. And Pedro throws hard. Aljamain's really awkward. Don't get me wrong. He's really quirky with his striking, really quirky with his movement. So people find it hard to get the timing on him, which I 100% understand. But I'm going to go with Pedro Munhoz. Don't be surprised if he gets a submission win, but, just from a takedown, grappling aspect, get to guillotine or something. But I'm going to go Pedro Munhoz, bro. I don't know why, but there's something about this fight I kind of feel strongly about Pedro winning.
Like I said, I can't pick this fight. Yeah, I can't pick this fight. I'm struggling with it. Initially, I was on Pedro. Then I was on Aljo. I think I'm still on Aljo, but I am finding it really, really tough to kind of pick guys. I like what I'm seeing from Aljamain. I think he's looked great in his last couple of fights against some really kind of tough guys. Cody Staman's hard to look good against. Jimmie Rivera, I thought he had a really, really good performance there. I think he's starting to really put it all together, and that's something I've been waiting for from Aljo, especially because that last fight he outstruck Jimmie Rivera. A lot of people beforehand, if you were to talk about like a striking affair, you'd probably say maybe Jimmie Rivera would be the more kind of technical, more rounded guy on the feet, but like Aljo completely pieced them up there, and none of the grappling didn't even really come into it in that fight. And Aljo's probably known more for his grappling than he has his striking. And saying that, the Brett Johns fight, he outstruck Brett Johns pretty comprehensively as well. So he's starting to mix all together. We know he's very, very unorthodox with his striking, with his grappling, with his submission grappling as well. When you talk submission grappling, you've got someone like Munhoz that it takes a split second for him to grab something and submit you. So Aljo has to be careful if he's ever clinching up or he's going for takedowns and leaving his neck in there, because he's got a wicked guillotine choke on him. He's just got a wicked choke on him and everything that he does, really, to be fair. But Munhoz, I think, can pressure. He doesn't take too many steps back. He's shown that he's got power in his hands. And like I say, it's always rough me talking about Munhoz's last fight because I'm such a big fan of Cody Garbrandt. I thought Cody had him and then just completely lost his head. But you've seen that if he's got some power as well. So you have to watch what you're doing. And he's got some technical striking behind that as well. If you watch the Brett Johns fight, he completely tore the legs out from under him. That was good technical striking. 3-fight win streak, good wins. Brett Johns, Brian Caraway, Cody Garbrandt. Oh, I am really struggling. Like, really struggling. I think that, for me, Aljo, like I say, this is a coin flip for me. I'm going to go Aljo. I just think his unorthodoxness, if that's even a word, will be enough. But I can see this being like super close. If Pedro can pressure, get shots off, maybe fluster Aljo a little bit, it could maybe move into Aljo to maybe make a mistake where Pedro can definitely take advantage. But I think Aljo's just going to do enough in all the aspects to win a very, very close decision. So I'm going Aljamain Sterling for the W there. So yeah. And the main fight of the prelims, Tatiana Suarez, Nina Ansaroff. No real need to really waste too much time in this. I think it's Tatiana Suarez, really. And that's not taking anything away from Nina Ansaroff, because I pick against her pretty much every fight. I think except the Randa Marcos one.
Same here.
But definitely making humongous improvements from what we've previously seen from her. But I think Suarez is just a completely different animal, especially grappling wise. On the feet, I think straight striking for striking, I think Nina is definitely better, and that's where she's going to win this fight, if she's going to win this fight. But you're not going to take Tatiana Suarez off you. She is... I mean, Claudia got her down a couple of times. I thought she did pretty well to get back to her feet then. Randa Marcos got her down. Justine Kish with a relentless pace a couple of years ago got her down a load of times. Thing is, like, the pace that Justine Kish puts on, that's tenfold to what Tatiana Suarez can do, because she's got more technical wrestling, technical grappling, and she's ploughed absolutely ploughed her way through her 4 fights in the UFC and didn't really look in any trouble in any of the fights, and got a couple of stoppages. I think 3 out of the 4 fights she's got stoppages in. Run through Grasso, took out a former champion in Esparza. Trying to make a case for Ansaroff is tough. And there's a reason I bet mine is she's a heavy underdog, because what we've seen from Suarez is championship material. She's going to hold a UFC belt, in my opinion. Whether it's going to be a next fight after this, or it's going to be a year or two down the line, she's going to hold a belt, because her skill set and her progression from fight to fight is going to make her a super dangerous fight. And she's going to hold that belt as well for a while, I think. So, yeah, Tatiana Suarez, I think she beats Nina Ansaroff, maybe gets a stoppage. I'll maybe pick a submission stoppage in the 3rd round there.
I will apologise. Well, I've always picked against Nina. Didn't see it any time, and she has come on. She has credit to, obviously, her missus is rubbing off on her. Excuse the pun. But but Tatiana Suarez, she's going to hold that title by the end of this year. She's getting a title fight by the end of this year. Simple as that. And she is an absolute monster. I can see her being a 2-weight champ. Strawweight, flyweight. See her doing both. Absolute terror she is. And like you said, well, her top game's so heavy. That's where Claudia with the grappling on getting it down was different. Claudia's not that heavy on top. Tatiana Suarez is heavy on top. She's got really good heavy wrestling, and just suffocates folk. And I just think Nina's just going to be just outclassed on that grappling side. So I'm with you, bro. Tatiana Suarez by wrestle fuck. That's it, basically.
Okay, moving on to the pay-per-view. Starting off in the heavies, the big heavies are coming in here. Tuivasa against Blagoi. Ivanov, who you got?
Not really fussed about this fight, if I'm honest with you, folks. It's one of them fights where I was like, whatever, it's happening. Ivanov he's not done much for me since coming in. He's just he's a counter-strike heavyweight. He doesn't seem to want to stand up much. He kind of he's on the back foot a lot, always backing up and throwing off a couple of counter-strikes. Fought Ben Rothwell, who hadn't fought for how long? 3 years or whatever it was. So Ben was obviously a bit... You could see Ben was not the same Ben of 3 years ago. It was a bit... Timings were off. Movement was a little bit off. I think if he'd fought Ben Rothwell 3 years ago, it probably would have been a different result, in my opinion. That's just my view on the fight. But he's quick for that, for a fat guy. He does move around pretty quick, and Tuivasa doesn't move around that quick, to be fair. So I think this is, like you say, speed can be a big factor in the heavyweight division. Tuivasa will want to, try and just land some heavy shots, similar to what Ben Rothwell was doing. He'll want to get Ivanov up against the cage. That's what Tuivasa will want. He'll want to grind him down with his weight. Just get heavy on him. Get on top of him if you can. I think Ivanov's just going to be evasive for 3 rounds. I think he's going to be moving around a lot, throwing a lot of counter strikes. I'm going to go... I'll do split decision, because I think Tuivasa could possibly get the fight to the cage for quite a bit for some of the rounds. So he'll, just hold him there and just, grind on it a bit. But I think overall Ivanov will probably land a foot, should in theory land more shots and get away from him. But I don't rate Ivanov at all, to be fair. I'll do split decision Ivanov. I just think he's just going to be evasive and move out the way a lot. But I'm not overly fussed, to be honest with you, mate.
Yeah, I'm going surprisingly. I'm going Blagoi Ivanov as well. And I honestly didn't think I didn't think I would ever kind of pick him in a UFC fight, if I'm being honest with you. I thought that I just thought his game is a bit of a spoiler game, but he's a hard guy to face. He's always been a super tough guy to fight, no matter what promotion he's been in. And he hasn't lost that many fights. I thought he lost that fight against Ben Rothwell. And I bet Ben Rothwell, so maybe that's why I think he lost. But it was close. I can see why they gave it to Blagoi. thought that Ben Rothwell did more. But in this one, Tuivasa is going to be aggressive, and I think that could play into favour of kind of Blagoi a little bit, catch him with counters, potentially kind of tie him up and hit him with strikes through off that. So yeah, I'm surprised actually. Well, I was pretty confident that Tai Tuivasa would actually maybe get it done when I first heard, but when you start kind of watching just a little bit here and a little bit there, someone like Tai still super, like he hasn't been around the spot all too long. Took his first loss last time out, so he's got pressure of trying to rebound in this fight here. I don't think he looked great the last time he was in Chicago when he fought Arlovsky, and Arlovsky can sometimes look bad in fights as well. But Blagoi, if you don't do enough, he will eat rounds and take rounds off you, and that's kind of how I feel this is going to go there. If he can't knock out Blagoi Ivanov, and Blagoi doesn't get knocked out very, very often, then it's going to be a close fight. Rounds need to be definitive against him because he seems to win. He get rounds kind of given to him by the closeness of the rounds. So yeah, I've got Blagoi Ivanov here, and he was an underdog, and like I say, I'll speak about bets a little bit later on. But yeah, I've got Blagoi Ivanov to win a very, very close decision here. It'll not be a good fight, I don't think. Not unless Tai catches him with a big knockout shot in the first round, which is always possible. But I've got Blagoi Ivanov in this spot here. Moving on, bantamweight division. Oh yeah, Jimmie Rivera, Petr Yan. You guys know where I'm going with this. 100%. I'm a massive admirer of Petr Yan and have been for the longest time. He's got himself a really good opponent here in Jimmie Rivera, but I think the kind of wheels have come off Jimmie Rivera in the UFC. He obviously had a really good start to his UFC tenure, won a lot of fights. He had a massive streak going. I think he won like 6 or 7 fights in the UFC, then got knocked out super quick against Marlon Moraes. That was a bit of a grudge match. Rebounded against rebound against John Dodson, I think it was, sorry, and then lost Dodson, to Aljo. Yeah. It just looks a little bit slower to the punch. It looks like he can out volume, and like someone like, if you were to ask me a year ago if Aljamain Sterling could have did that to Jimmie Rivera, I would say no chance. And then you've got someone like Petr Yan who's coming in who can match you for wrestling. Is the better striker, throws more volume. I think he's got the better chin, even though he does get hit a lot. Petr Yan, that's something that you have to be careful with, because if you rely on that chin a little bit too much, you're gonna get hit with a shot, get put down. And I think he got put down against John Dodson. He did get put down against John Dodson. He also got taken down. So he's one of these guys that you can take down, you can also knock down, but the guy keeps coming. He gets back to his feet, he can take a shot, he can give a shot. I think the pace and the relentlessness of Petr Yan is just going to be too much for Jimmie Rivera. I think he's going to out-volume him. I think he's going to take him down. I think he's going to hurt him. And I think he's going to take him out. I'd be super surprised if Jimmie Rivera actually came in here and beat him. I really would. And that's saying something. Jimmie Rivera's a good fighter. He's a top 10 fighter.
Legit, yeah.
I think this is the next step for Petr Yan on his road to fighting for that belt, because he will fight for that belt. I've got no doubt about it. He will fight for a belt probably in 2020, in my opinion, because they've did well with his progression. He's been keeping super busy. Barely been in the UFC. I think this is actually, was it last June? And he's fought 4 times that year. So he's going to fight 5 times inside a year. That's what you need to do and look impressive in doing so. He's got himself a couple of finishes. He's got himself some performances there where he's looked super dominant. And he is one of my favourite fighters to fight in the whole entire roster. He's just so varied in all of his skill set, and he's just calling out the right guys to build himself. He wins this one. He's firmly entrenched in the top 10 of that division. He's going to get a big fight next, regardless if he wins this one. Not taking anything away from Jimmie, because Jimmie is... I just struggle... Like, when I look at this match, I know I've got super big bias on Petr Yan here, but I'm thinking, how does Petr Yan... how does Jimmie Rivera win this fight? Like, you're not gonna hold him down, not unless you knock him out with a big shot. Could happen. Then you're not. I just struggle to see him having more output than Petr Yan. I struggle to see him keeping him down on the ground. Yeah, Petr Yan for me all day long. I think he's going to knock out Jimmie Rivera and get himself a massive fight later on in the year. So Petr Yan for me, I'm going to go a first round stoppage.
What? You wild man.
First round stoppage, maybe early second, in that region. So,
man, no, I'm with you on Petr Yan though. I can't deny he is just a beautiful man to watch. And Jimmie Rivera's only 29. You know, I mean, it's one of these things like Eddie Wineland's 32. It's just weird to say out loud when you think how many fights they've had and how long they've been around for. But yeah, Jimmie, he can be taken down as well. Let's not forget that. So yeah. Petr Yan, if he wanted to kind of exhibit his skill set, he could potentially take Jimmie down. You know, that would put the kind of doubt in Jimmie's mind as well. Like, okay, cool, I've got to be wary of the takedowns as well as striking. But Jimmie, you know, if you stand and bang with him, he's happy to go and stand there as well. He's happy to just go at it with you. So I think that's Peter's go-to. He'll want to just stand with Jimmie, know that Jimmie will go into it, and he'll just be the better striker than Jimmie, like you said. Will Peter just does a more varied amount of strikes. The combinations he combines together just are better than what Jimmie's are. And like, there's a pace. He's a pressure fighter, Petr Yan, as well. So if you've got pressure on you, go on the back foot, it's tiring. Man, I'm going Petr Yan as well. I won't go first round knockout. I'm going to give Jimmie a good bit of kudos. I think he's tough as nails. I know we got sparked by Marlon, but it was just like one of those random ones that happens. I'm going to go third round stoppage for Petr Yan, just because of the sheer volume. It just wears Jimmie down. Especially, I think you might see some body shots take a bit of a toll on Jimmie in here. I don't know why. I've just got a feeling this body shot's going to play a factor. But yeah, I'm going Petr Yan as well, mate, all day long.
Yeah, and now moving on. I actually think it's the fight that everybody's kind of waiting to see in this whole entire card. It's pretty obvious. I think you ask more people that they're looking forward to more to this fight than championship fights. So I know I am. So Tony Ferguson makes his return. Donald Cerrone is his opponent. Fireworks. How do you see it going?
Ah, man, I don't know. I hate that I had to pick on this one, to be honest with you, because after watching footage, I think it made it worse watching footage. For example, one factor that played in my mind was the Pettis fight when he was landing those leg kicks, and you saw it definitely had some kind of an effect on Tony. I know he's had time to let the knee recover a bit more, but how much has he let it recover? He's probably been doing parkour or something like that over a volcano, knowing Tony Ferguson. But Donald Cerrone's got leg kicks in him. You know, Donald Cerrone couldn't land heavy leg kicks. Why would you not take advantage of that? Why would you not straight away go for those leg kicks? Tony Ferguson doesn't care. He's very aggressive, forward coming. Donald Cerrone's not Donald Cerrone's not a guy on the back foot. He's not a back foot fighter. He can do it, but it's not he doesn't like to be on the back foot too much. Getting Donald Cerrone's guard, obviously you've got a triangle threat. Tony be very cautious of that. So I'm so stuck on this because Tony's striking was do you know what? His striking was good against Pettis though. The weird thing was, like, he was landing good inside leg kicks, switching his stances, body shots, you know, hitting those body shots, which didn't look like much at the start in the first round. Then you notice in the second round, obviously from Pettis having to back up so much. And then you saw it started to just take a toll. Man, I am still. Donald's just looked like a man reborn at 155 as well. This is where I get really. I'm good. You know, I'm going to go Cowboy because I just, why not? Do you know what I mean? I think it's a pick and fight because I think Tony Ferguson has his hands too low, and Donald Cerrone kicks pretty fucking hard, and he's hit people in the head and knocked their blocks off. And Tony Ferguson's hands aren't high. He has a low holds his hands low. Donald Cerrone, I think, might go a couple of like 1-2 leg kicks, you know, a couple of like a 2-3-2 strike, like a straight left straight, and then bang, whip in a head kick in his combinations, and it'll land. And it'll rock Tony. You saw Tony get rocked by Pettis, and I think Donald can rock him. So I'm going to Donald Cerrone. stoppage because they're just two wild, crazy men. And I think it's a shame to see Tony Ferguson's streak come to an end. Kudos to him, man. What was it, 11 in a row, man? That is some going in that division, man, because it's just straight killers in the lightweight division. But and I feel bad for Tony as well, because that dude deserves a legitimate actual title fight. But I'm going to go Cerrone, mate.
Like I say, you're not going to find one person out here saying this is a bad fight. It's an absolute great fight.
Yeah.
I kind of wish it was a main event, though. I'll be honest with you.
5 round, great, yeah.
I think it's got a potential of maybe being a 5-round absolute war. When I first heard this fight was getting made, I was definitely on Cowboy Cerrone. Since then, I am on Tony Ferguson to win this fight, which it's a great fight to go back in and just watch like 5 fights of either guy. You can pick so many fights between these two and take so many things from it. Cerrone 2.0, dad boy Cerrone. He has looked like he's got extra elevation. You can totally see that. He looks a totally different fighter since coming off that Leon Edwards fight, which wasn't a bad fight, actually. He fought Leon, I think, pretty close up a division.
Yeah.
Made his way back down to one. Who else did he beat? He beat Mike Perry. He was an underdog in that fight. That surprised me. He seems to always be the underdog. He was the underdog against Alexander Hernandez. I didn't see why he was the underdog there. And then Al-Iaquinta, he was the underdog there as well. And he whooped Al-Iaquinta's ass.
Yeah, he was
phenomenal. Not even a month ago. He completely booted the shit out of Al-Iaquinta. And he thrives as an underdog. He looks like he's got purpose in himself now. Like, he realizes this might be my last shot of coming in here, maybe fighting for a UFC belt, which for the amount of fights this guy has, it's kind of he's never fought for a UFC title before, but he's always one of those guys that he could beat everybody from ranked 5 and below, 5 and above, but once he starts going to his 4, 3, 2, 1 guys and championship caliber guys, he seems to lose. But he seems to me to just be in a different space right now. We all know about, I could go on about his skill sets. He's got great jiu-jitsu. He's got great counter strike. He's got dangerous kicks. He's got everything. He's got everything you need to be a dangerous fighter. And he fights every month. So the guy's never not ready to fight. So then you look at Tony Ferguson. I'll put my hand up. I've said I don't think this guy should be fighting. There's things going on in this guy's life that I think are bigger than fighting. Now, I think some of those things have got rectified a little bit. He's got cleared by physicians and all the people that you have to get through, the UFC guys. I'm sure they just want him to fight, so they'll probably not even look that much into it. But I'm sure Tony, being the kind of guy he is, he will get people to give him opinions and stuff. And Tony Ferguson, I've never been the biggest Tony Ferguson fan. He's just the kind of guy that kind of rubs me up the wrong way. I don't really like watching interviews or hear what he says, or even his Twitter, because every second words,
weird, man.
All his words are with caps. It's like that takes a lot to kind of keep that shit going.
Yeah.
But his fight style, he's super exciting. He's super open to getting hit with strikes. We've seen that Lando Minato caught him ages ago. That fight with Dos Anjos, he landed so much against Dos Anjos, but Dos Anjos also landed so many strikes. Kevin Lee had him in some really rough spots. He was full mounted there. So he will give you opportunities, no doubt about it. Pettis hurt him big time. I thought Pettis was on his way to knocking him out and taking him out of that fight. But Ferguson showed that he's got a lot of heart, durability, and made Pettis quit pretty much. But the one thing that I think the pressure of Cowboy in the past used to start super slow. He's kind of stopped doing that now. He knows that he needs to get himself ready to go from that first bell, and it showed in his last 3 fights 100%. And he needs it in this fight, especially because Tony Ferguson is going to be pressuring him with his awkward style. He's going to be open to strikes from Cowboy 100%. Like I say, I am no way betting this fight whatsoever. I think it's a rough fight to bet on, unless like the money's on Cowboy, and if you see it being a fight, he can hurt Tony Ferguson and then take the shot. But for me, I'm just going to sit back, watch this one as a fan, and let these guys fight the winner of Poirier Khabib, and let's see some big championship fights. I'm going to edge Tony Ferguson with his pressure, and I think that he could potentially hurt Cowboy in the third round if it gets that far. But I can also see Cowboy winning as well. Like I say, I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this one, because this one's an absolute banger of a fight. There's a reason that I think once fight week comes in tomorrow, everybody's going to be talking about this fight, and championship fights are just going to get kind of left behind a little bit. So, Tony Ferguson for me, I'm going to pick him via decision over Cowboy, and a bit of a bloodbath. Great fight here, but I've got Tony Ferguson for the W there. So great fight. First championship match of the night, women's flyweight titles. The champion Valentina Shevchenko faces off against the challenger and Jessica Ai. You have to be pretty ballsy if you're picking Jessica Ai in this spot here. I'm certainly not going to be picking Jessica Ai in this spot here. If you were to give me free money, I would never put money on Jessica Ai in this fight ever, and it's not even my money. So, I don't see how she beats Valentina. I don't see anywhere where she is better than Valentina. I don't think she's stronger. I don't think she's a better wrestler. I definitely don't think she's a better striker, even though I think her striking's decent. But you've got a multi-time world champion in Valentina, and she's at the weight class where she's going to dominate at 125, when she was nearly the 135-pound champ against the greatest all time in Amanda Nunes. How do you see Jessica Ai winning this fight? I don't see any way whatsoever. Not unless Valentina just has an off night and Jessica has the biggest night of her life, and we've seen that in the past. But for me, I just can't pick against Valentina Shevchenko. I actually don't think she'll stop, or she might be able to stop her via submission, I think. But I think that Ai is pretty hard to take out. So for me, I can see Valentina just pretty much beating her ass for 25 minutes. So Valentina for the W for me.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be a first-class lesson in where Jessica is not at, and Valentina's going to show that there's levels to the game. And just because you beat Caitlin to get a title fight, let's just put that in perspective, folks. If Caitlin had won that split decision over Jessica, Caitlin would be fighting Valentina. We'd still be picking Valentina, just by the way. But that was your two choices for the next title fight. So either one of them would get a shot. And both of them are nowhere near. You put both of them together, they still wouldn't beat Valentina. I just don't. Jessica's going to be super aggressive with the combinations. She comes forward. She's heavy with the strikes. She throws punches and bunches, let's say. But Valentina's just good footwork, good counter-striking. Like you said, if you can get punched by Amanda Nunes and live... She's lived through it, not once. She lived through it a couple of times. I don't understand. What do you think you're going to do? If you can't, no chance. If Amanda Nunes can't put you down, Jessica, you are living dream world. Think you want to do it. Valentina's striking is way too crisp, and I just think, mate, she just lights her up like a Christmas tree, mate. Lights her up like the 4th of July fireworks. Valentina Shevchenko holds that belt for a bit. And then her toughest test will probably be Tatiana Suarez, if Suarez wants to go up to 125 for a title shot and do a super fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100% agree with you there. So, it's pretty much we're all on in Valentina there, and I think everybody else kind of should be, unless I think
unless you're sleeping with Jessica Ai.
Yeah, like I say, we're coming off a massive upset in the boxing last night, so it can happen. You never know. Shit happens sometimes, but I don't see it happening here. And the main event of the night, we've got the UFC flyweight champion, what that's worth nowadays, Cejudo, as he moves up to 135 to fight for the vacant belt against the destroyer that has been Marlon Moraes. How do you see this title fight going down?
Marlon has been very impressive, hasn't he? Let's be honest. He's not done much wrong. Henry Cejudo in his own right has not done much wrong. He's done what he's had to do since being a flyweight. He's I think Henry's being smart though, because Henry was potentially going to be a future bantamweight guy anyway, because he always had that testing of the struggle with the 125. And obviously, as Henry gets a little bit older, the cutting weight's going to get a little bit harder, and it's so I think Henry's maybe, and obviously the flyweight division goes anyway. It's a good move for Henry, and this is where I do pick wrestling. This is where I do find wrestling to be king. I think Marlon is explosive, killer combinations with Mark Henry, devastating on the feet. Henry Cejudo, you don't know what he's going to do on the feet, because now he's got that alternative kind of weird karate stance that he did. He can, like he hurt TJ. I know he caught TJ at the back of the head, which is always going to knock equilibrium out, but he still hits hard. He's a short wrestler, short, stout, powerful guy, but he's got wrestling that Marlon isn't a bad grappler. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's bad, but he's not the level that Henry is. It's just not. He's not a gold medalist Olympic judo wrestler. Sorry. So none of them are. So no one's got the level. Like, look, Aljamain Sterling would have a rough time with Henry Cejudo. I'm going to go wrestling king here. I think Henry's just going to be smart, and the best way to be smart about this is don't stay standing for too long with Marlon. Grapple with him, get him down. Marlon's very muscular, and I think if you can get 5 rounds of just heavy wrestling, because for Henry that's nothing new for Henry. He does that all day, every day. So I'm going to go Henry Cejudo, bro, with a decision win. I think a lot of people probably going to be quite high on Marlon, don't get me wrong. But I don't know what it is. I feel weird picking Henry as well. But I'm going to pick Henry Cejudo. Decision win. Wrestling's going to be king again.
Yeah, it's a fight I'm really looking forward to. There's a bit of bad blood, obviously, between these two. And
weirdly, I know, yeah.
Yeah. I think Marlon Moraes is just completely after this belt, and he doesn't matter who's in his way to get it here. And then you've obviously got someone like Cejudo, who beat the bantamweight champion very convincingly. And then obviously what happened with that.
I know. Yeah. I would love to have seen TJ and Marlon anyway, because I think that still would be a spectacle of a fight. But sadly, we won't. Yeah.
It's a very, very good fight. I think it's a hard one to, unless you've got a really good eye on this fight. It's hard to kind of have real confidence, because both guys have been absolutely phenomenal in the last year to 2 years, especially since Marlon he dropped that split to Assunção, got it back in unbelievable fashion last time against Assunção in that main event down in Brazil, and he's a dangerous guy everywhere. He's a former previous organization. He stops fights. He's got heavy striking, and he's got jiu-jitsu to go with it. And then you look, and I spoke about this on my kind of betting show on my own channel last week of Henry Cejudo, and I was there when DJ absolutely mauled him and destroyed him. And then after the event, I went back through the MGM. MGM, if you've been in, there's a massive place. And just as I was walking through, there was like this yoga place, and there was a tiny little group of people, and Henry Cejudo was there with his coaches. And I went up, and obviously I'm a fanboy, so I asked for a picture, and it's not too many opportunities to get a picture with an Olympic gold medalist. And obviously he was hurting because he got absolutely smoked in that fight. But he was still super young in his kind of career, and he was facing one of the best champions the UFC's ever had. And he didn't recognise that accent. I said, Scotland. He's like, you've come a long way to watch fights. And I managed to get to speak to him for a good 3-4 minutes. And I says to him, look, you're only really at the start of your career in the UFC, and there's a lot to come. I didn't think he would come out and look as dangerous and as good as what he did kind of straight after that fight. I know he dropped that decision to Benavidez. He could have got that win in that fight, in my opinion. It was a close fight. But since then, like, his knockout of Wilson Hayes, his hands he's putting together, super impressive, super fast. He's always going to have the wrestling, regardless, because he's a gold medalist, so he's always got it there. The one thing I kind of worried about is he could take down Marlon Moraes, but is he going to keep him there? I don't know. I think Moraes has got dangerous enough jiu-jitsu where Cejudo's going to have to really be careful with what he does on the mat with this guy. Then when it comes to striking, obviously striking is improved old since he lost that fight to Demetrius away back in 2016. He's got combination striking. He's got very, very fast hands. He's obviously got power, and he puts it all together. And then as an opponent, you're obviously super scared that his wrestling could you and he could keep you there. I just struggle to see him taking Marlon to the mat and keeping him there for a majority of the rounds. I just don't see it happening. But in saying that, I'm doubting Olympic gold medalist and doing that. I'm just trying to play a little bit of devil's advocate and see if he could do that. I don't know. I don't think he can. I think Moraes is going to know that that's probably going to be his main path to victory. Could he knock out Marlon Moraes? Absolutely. Because we've seen he's got power and he's got fast hands and he totally believes in himself now. You can see the belief that runs through that guy. But I think the more dangerous fighter is Marlon Moraes, in my opinion, in every and more facets of the game. So I'm picking Marlon Moraes here. I actually think he could knock him out. He could submit him. I think he's got just more paths to victory over Cejudo here. So I'm going to go Marlon Moraes to be the new UFC bantamweight champion. So, but would it surprise me if Henry gets another belt? Not in the slightest. He's an elite athlete, in my opinion. So those guys do very, very well in their career. But I'm going to go Marlon Moraes for the W there. So yeah, UFC 230 out the road. I'll quickly go through my two bets that I have. Blagoi Ivanov. And that's a surprise to me, in fairness, because I never thought I would ever bet a guy. I said earlier on I was never really going to pick him in a UFC fight. So I've picked him and I've bet him. Plus 150. I think the line's changed to plus 125. So the money's coming in on Blagoi and the line's coming down, which I kind of agree with. I don't think he should be as high an underdog as what he was there. And Tuivasa is still very, very... He's not been in the sport all that long, and he doesn't really overly impress me that much. So I've got Blagoi Ivanov there to win, and the parlay I've got, which I made, I think it was Wednesday night, past here, it was Xiaonan and Petr plus 114. I really like that parlay. I think it's got a good chance of cashing. I've got it for plus money now. I think if you were to go and bet that, you'd be minus money, so you wouldn't be getting a plus number beside it. So I got in there and got a nice one. But it's a tough fight. There's tough fights on this card, so it's hard to really fully commit to where you're going to go, not unless you see something that I don't like. You're going to parlay Petr, Suarez, Shevchenko, and take minus 190. 100% people are going to do that because they'll see that as kind of easy free money. But because the lines are out so early now, there is some value to be had. There's just a whole host of places you can go. I think I can see the Munhoz and Sterling line being close to a pick 'em. Sterling's the favourite in that one. Kattar's moved up to minus 170 favourite. He was like minus 125, I think.
Oh, not bad odds, eh?
If you could have gotten those odds in America, then do it. So, there's spots to go. I mean, Chukagian and Calderwood is a pick 'em.
What's Ferguson and Cerrone?
Ferguson is, I think he's minus 160, and Cerrone is plus 140. Yeah, so Tony's minus 60, Cowboy plus 140. The main event, Henry Cejudo's an underdog, so there's a dog bet for you if you want to bet a dog. And Moraes is minus 120, so there's value
not bad
there.
then. Yeah, it's value there. He'd be good then with a parlay then. Moraes with a parlay would be kind of useful then. All right, okay.
Well, yeah, it could. If you want to bump up like a low odds one, I wouldn't bet in a parlay personally myself.
No.
Because you could bet them straight, but you're going to get people here that are going to minus 900 Suarez and minus 1400 Shevchenko, and maybe put in someone like a
minus 1400.
Plus 925 in the sky. So that's kind of crazy there. But I think it's a pretty tough card for betting. I think it's a tough one to really get good spots on. Like I got Petr minus 275, he's minus 355 now, and I can see that only going up. Jimmie Rivera's going to be like a plus 300 underdog, and that's kind of juicy, but I'm never going to be betting Jimmie Rivera, especially against Petr. So that's my kind of couple of bets I have there. I might have another one or two before Saturday comes around. So that's everything from us. I think we've got a week off, then we're back for
We have.
Meccano and Korean Zombie.
Yeah.
So we're going to get that out for you in a couple of weeks' time. Like we said at the start of the show, go and hit that like, go and hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, leave your comments. If you've got any bets, any picks that you think is going to come through, let us know. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. I don't know if John's got any words of wisdom for his going out here, but until next time from me, I will see you. I'll let John into the show here.
I've got no words of wisdom. It's me, mate. Come on.
All right, there we go. So until UFC Greenville in a couple of weeks' time, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. Take care.